Listen close now. Gather round like old souls sharing tales of fall from grace, because this is the story that echoes through every NFL locker room, every draft day dream, every cautionary tale whispered to young stars who believe their talent alone will carry them forever. From the practice fields of Cleveland to the elegant ballrooms where second chances go to die, from the flashing lights of casino elevators to the silent phones that never ring again, these are the legends that refuse to fade, not for their glory, but for their spectacular collapse. They were Josh Gordon, Ray Rice, and others who thought they were untouchable. And tonight, as we sift through the wreckage of squandered greatness, we ask the question that haunts every corner office and team meeting. How do NFL stars destroy careers that seemed destined for immortality? Picture it first, the intoxicating world of professional football in the 2010s, where million-dollar contracts flow like champagne and young men with superhuman abilities walk the earth believing they are gods. In this universe, talent excuses everything, potential forgives all sins, and tomorrow always promises redemption. Yet within this paradise lurked the very demons that would consume its brightest stars, turning hero stories into cautionary tales that parents would whisper to their sons for generations. The name Josh Gordon still hangs in the air like smoke from a dream that burned too bright. In 2013, at just 22 years old, this Cleveland Browns wide receiver put together one of the most magnificent seasons in NFL history. 87 catches, 1,646 yards, 9 touchdowns despite missing the first 2 games due to suspension. He was a blur of speed and grace, a receiver so gifted that defensive coordinators lost sleep game planning against him. His hands were magnets, his routes were poetry, and his potential seemed boundless as the Ohio sky. But Gordon carried a darkness that talent couldn't illuminate. Substance abuse had shadowed him since middle school, a demon that whispered promises of escape while tightening chains around his future. The signs were there from the beginning: arrests at Baylor University, failed drug tests, a pattern of self-destruction that followed him like a faithful dog. Yet the NFL, seduced by his supernatural abilities, kept offering chances, kept believing that this time would be different, kept hoping that raw talent could overcome human frailty. The suspensions began to pile up like storm clouds. 7 times the league banned him for substance abuse violations, each punishment more severe than the last. He missed 2 complete seasons and parts of 5 others, watching from the sidelines as lesser talents took his place, as opportunities evaporated like morning mist, as his career became a series of what-ifs and almosts. The Patriots tried to save him in 2018. Bill Belichick, the master of reclamation projects, believed he could harness Gordon's gifts. For a few shining weeks, it seemed possible. Then came the familiar pattern: missed practices, failed tests, voluntary departures to focus on mental health. Seattle offered a final lifeline, but by then, Gordon was a ghost haunting his own potential. In 2021, he officially retired from professional football at 29, his career a masterpiece painted in invisible ink, forever fading before anyone could fully appreciate its beauty. There was a lot of money left on the table, a lot of opportunity left on the table, Gordon later reflected, his voice carrying the weight of dreams that died young. Now shift the scene to an Atlantic City casino in February 2014, where security cameras captured the moment Ray Rice's career died without anyone realizing it yet. Rice was football royalty then, a Baltimore Ravens running back with 3 Pro Bowl selections, a Super Bowl ring, and a $35 million contract extension signed just the year before. He was the heartbeat of Baltimore's offense, a compact dynamo who ran with the fury of a man possessed and spoke with the wisdom of a veteran leader. But inside that Revel Hotel elevator, Rice became something else entirely. The initial video showed him dragging his unconscious fiancée, Janae Palmer, from the elevator like a sack of grain, her body limp, her dignity shattered. The Ravens and the NFL initially treated this as a minor incident, a 2-game suspension, some anger management classes, and everyone could move on. After all, Cleveland Browns receiver Josh Gordon had just received a full-season ban for marijuana use, making Rice's punishment seem almost lenient by comparison. Then came September 8, 2014, and the second video, the one that changed everything. TMZ released the footage from inside the elevator, and America watched in horror as Rice threw a devastating left hook that sent Palmer crashing into the elevator wall, her head striking the handrail before she collapsed unconscious to the floor. The reaction was swift and merciless. Within hours, the Ravens released him. The NFL suspended him indefinitely. His career ended not with a fumble or an injury, but with the sickening sound of his fist connecting with the woman he claimed to love. Rice was 27 years old, in his prime, with years of elite performance ahead of him. Instead, he became a pariah, radioactive to every franchise, a reminder of how quickly honor can transform into shame. No team would touch him, no comeback story would write itself, no redemption arc would unfold. He had crossed a line that talent couldn't uncross, committed an act that statistics couldn't erase. But Gordon and Rice were not alone in the graveyard of self-inflicted career destruction. The NFL landscape is littered with the bones of players who confused ability with invincibility, who believed their talent was a shield against consequences rather than a responsibility requiring protection. Aaron Hernandez owned every defensive coordinator's nightmares as a tight end for the New England Patriots. His combination of size, speed, and hands making him virtually unstoppable in the red zone. He was 23 years old with a $40 million contract extension when he was arrested for the murder of Odin Lloyd, a case that unraveled to reveal a pattern of violence and criminal behavior that had been masked by his football success. His career ended not in retirement, but in a prison cell, where he eventually took his own life, leaving behind a legacy of wasted potential and senseless tragedy. Michael Vick was once the most electrifying quarterback in football, a human highlight reel whose scrambling ability and rocket arm redefined the position for an entire generation. His fall from grace came through the sickening revelation of his involvement in a brutal dogfighting ring, complete with torture, execution, and betting that shocked even hardened NFL observers. Prison claimed 2 years of his prime, transforming one of the league's most marketable stars into a cautionary tale about the consequences of moral bankruptcy. Dez Bryant commanded double coverage throughout his prime with the Dallas Cowboys, his passionate intensity and acrobatic catches making him one of the league's premier receivers. But his career slowly imploded through a combination of locker room conflicts, social media controversies, and an inability to separate his on-field fire from off-field combustion. Teams began to view him as more trouble than his talent was worth, and gradually, the phone calls stopped coming. Terrell Owens possessed hands that could catch passes from impossible angles and a mouth that could alienate teammates with surgical precision. His raw statistics place him among the greatest receivers in NFL history, but his toxic personality made him a pariah. Philadelphia, Dallas, Buffalo, Cincinnati, each stop ended in acrimony, each bridge burned with spectacular efficiency. By the end, his talent remained undeniable, but his reputation had become unbearable. Johnny Manziel entered the NFL as Johnny Football, the Heisman Trophy winner whose improvisational magic had made him college football's most compelling star. The Cleveland Browns invested a first-round pick in his potential, believing they had found their franchise quarterback. Instead, they discovered a young man whose love for nightlife exceeded his passion for film study, whose celebrity lifestyle consumed his football focus. His career lasted just 2 seasons, marked more by TMZ appearances than touchdown passes, a reminder that talent without discipline is merely potential energy waiting to dissipate. The pattern repeats with numbing consistency across decades and positions. Talented players mistake ability for armor, success for immunity, fame for protection. They believe their skills grant them special dispensation from life's rules, that their value to franchises will shield them from consequences that crush ordinary mortals. Josh Gordon's story particularly haunts because his talent was so transcendent. In 2013, playing in just 14 games, he averaged over 117 receiving yards per contest, a pace that would have shattered single-season records if sustained over a full campaign. Defensive coordinators prepared specifically for him, yet he still found ways to dominate, still made catches that seemed to violate the fundamental laws of physics and geometry. Ray Rice's fall strikes differently because of its suddenness and totality. One moment he was being introduced at the Pro Bowl, the next he was persona non grata across professional sports. The speed of his transformation from hero to villain remains breathtaking in its completeness, a reminder that reputation is crystal, beautiful, valuable, and shattered by a single blow. The financial costs stagger the imagination. Gordon forfeited tens of millions in salary through his various suspensions, each failed drug test essentially setting fire to generational wealth. Rice's indefinite suspension cost him the remainder of a lucrative contract, transforming guaranteed money into empty promises. These players didn't just destroy careers, they incinerated fortunes, squandered security for their families, traded long-term prosperity for momentary gratification or uncontrolled impulses. The human cost runs deeper than dollars. Teammates who depended on their contributions found themselves scrambling to fill irreplaceable voids. Coaches who built systems around their unique abilities watched seasons crumble. Fans who invested emotional energy in their success felt betrayed, deceived, abandoned by athletes they had elevated to heroic status. Perhaps most tragically, these fallen stars often possessed the very qualities that could have made them transcendent figures off the field as well as on it. Gordon's charisma and relatability could have made him a powerful advocate for addiction recovery. Rice's leadership abilities and community involvement could have established him as a model citizen and role model. Instead, their potential for positive impact died alongside their athletic careers. The NFL has attempted to learn from these disasters, implementing stronger personal conduct policies, enhanced drug testing protocols, and intervention programs designed to catch problems before they metastasize into career-ending crises. Yet the fundamental challenge remains unchanged. How do you protect young men from themselves when their talent has convinced them they are invincible? Some players do find redemption. Michael Vick eventually returned to have a productive second act in Philadelphia, though he never fully escaped the shadow of his crimes. Others, like Gordon and Rice, discover that some doors, once closed, never reopen. The NFL's collective memory is long, and while it might forgive ordinary mistakes, it rarely forgets spectacular moral failures. The cautionary tales these men created now serve as uncomfortable education for each new generation of NFL stars. Rookie symposiums feature their stories, not as entertainment, but as warnings. Veteran players share their names in whispered conversations about what not to do, how not to live, where not to venture when temptation calls. Their legacies persist not in Hall of Fame busts or retired jerseys, but in the hard-earned wisdom of players who learned from their mistakes. Every time a receiver with addiction issues seeks help rather than hiding his problem, Gordon's ghost influences that decision. Every time a player in an abusive relationship chooses counseling over violence, Rice's example haunts the choice. Yet questions linger in the shadows cast by their failures. Could different interventions have saved these careers? Were the warning signs ignored until it was too late? Did the very systems designed to develop their athletic gifts fail to nurture their human character? The answers remain as complex as the men themselves, as tangled as the webs they wove around their own destruction. Today, Josh Gordon operates a recovery-focused media company, using his platform to help others navigate the addiction battles that consumed his prime years. His voice carries the authority of lived experience, the credibility of someone who lost everything and found a way to rebuild meaning from the ashes of dreams. Ray Rice has largely disappeared from public life, occasionally emerging to discuss domestic violence prevention, his words carrying the weight of someone who understands the devastation such actions cause. They serve now as reminders that talent alone never guarantees longevity, that potential without character is merely preparation for disappointment. Their stories echo through every draft day, every rookie contract signing, every moment when young men with extraordinary abilities face ordinary human temptations. So we return to our haunting question, echoing now through locker rooms and front offices across the league. How do NFL stars destroy careers that seem destined for immortality? The answer lies not in their failures of talent, but in their failures of character. The belief that ability exempts them from accountability, that fame provides immunity from consequences, that tomorrow's talent will always excuse today's mistakes. Their careers ended not because they forgot how to play football, but because they forgot that playing football was a privilege, not a right. In a league where second chances are precious and third chances are mythical, they squandered opportunities that millions would kill for, trading greatness for gratification, legacy for instant satisfaction. And perhaps that is their most enduring gift to the sport they loved and lost. The terrible, beautiful reminder that talent without wisdom is just potential energy waiting to be wasted. That greatness requires not just extraordinary ability, but extraordinary responsibility. In their fall from grace, they illuminate the path others might follow toward redemption, their failures becoming the foundation upon which future success stories are built.